Welcome to my designer class. My name is Mercy and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. In today's class, I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful sunset card, and the stamp set I primarily used was Flowering Desert. The sentiment came from Butterfly Gala, and I also used the rectangle stitch framelits for the sentiment. And one other thing is the Winter Woods in the Woods framelit set I used for my masking. So I'll just show you some of that and we'll get started right away with sponging. The biggest feature here is the sponging. Now what I did is I first started off with masking and creating my bank. So I just set this down here and I'm using Tuxedo Black Memento ink for the black, and it's supposed to be silhouettes, so obviously I want to darken out the scene. Okay, so, oh, I forgot to cover my work surface, so I'll quickly grab the scratch paper. Not that it really matters, but I don't want you to have to see all the different colors on the workspace once I'm done. So I'm just going in pretty much a circular pattern, but this is going to be like as dark as possible. Sorry about the shaking with my surface. It's kind of hard to avoid with sponging. I just think that sponging is so much fun, and if you've never tried it, it's really easy. And these sponges you can get, I think it's like $3.50 for 4 sponges, and each sponge you cut into 4, and I just staple labels onto it and designate it to each color. So that should be good right there. We'll cover my ink, and we will be using the Memento again for stamping the images. So just remove it real quick, and the next thing is to mask where the sun is going to be. So I have these sticky notes that are almost completely sticky, and the reason why I have paper behind it is if you don't do that, it gets all messed up, the sticky note, because it's really thin paper. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so I'll set my punch aside and show you just how, you have this perfect little circle. This was a 1 1/4 punch. And what I want to do is I'm going to actually bring my card in so into my view at least, so that I can make sure I kind of am following it. Each card can be a little different, so it doesn't have to be exact, but sometimes it's easier just to follow something. So anyhow, that's what I'll start with is the orange, which is Grapefruit Grove. We'll open that up, and what I did was kind of created, just kind of go across it. I want the lower part to be pretty bright orange, and then I want a little bit above, but not quite as much. Just kind of add a little bit of color there. I might need a little bit more, but I'm not sure. So I will now bring in the pineapple punch for my bright sunny look here, and go ahead, add some here, and then I will blend some color into the orange so it kind of softens that Grapefruit Grove. So here, and at any point if I decide I want a little bit more orange, I'll just can't find my stuff here. I can just kind of add a little bit more, but I think it's pretty good right now. So setting the pineapple punch aside, I'm now going to bring in Gorgeous Grape. And the order here isn't like essential, but what I like doing is adding some of the colors in and then covering it with other colors for this grayish sky. So I don't think I'll need more of that, but I'm going to keep it open just in case. Next I'm going to bring in Balmy Blue, and we will add some blue. And what I will finish with is going to be the Smoky Slate, which will be most of the sky scene, or the upper sky part. So here we have the Balmy Blue, and then my Smoky Slate. open this up and go ahead, keep adding, building the color. And this part I will do it a little harder. And each card will come out a little bit differently, so it's just kind of goes with the territory with sponging. Every card is a little different. So I will uncover the sun and add a little bit of the pineapple punch over it to make it more natural looking, but it will still really retain that really bright circle look to it. So I'm gonna just bring in a little bit of gray down into this yellowish orange so that it blends it. So it's definitely a evening sunset look. Okay, so I think I'm done with that, but I will now take off the mask, and it looks perfect, and bring back in the pineapple punch. So I kind of want it a little bit less of that bright white, but obviously I want the nice circle too. So there we have it. I think that looks pretty good. All right, the next thing I'm going to be doing, besides I had to make room, is the Stamparatus work. So I'm just shifting things around here. I've got to get the stamp pads out because the Stamparatus kind of can extend too much otherwise. So I will bring in the Stamparatus next. And if you do not have a Stamparatus, I so recommend them. It's so much fun to have one. I cannot imagine living without it. As silly as that sounds, it really is one of the best tools that Stampin' Up! Has offered, I think, in many years. And it really, I've tried the Tim Holtz Stamparatus, and this one has some distinct advantages. And one of the biggest is having two doors to stamp on, and that's just a huge thing. So anyway, enough of that. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back in my well, I want to call this my background paper, whatever, but it's the sunset scene. And I will bring in my Memento ink, and I will start stamping. So the main reason that I especially want to use this Stamparatus is I want the black, cacti and so on, the silhouettes to be really nice and crisp and dark. And I really couldn't do that with one layer of stamping. So that's another really big benefit of using the Stamparatus, is being able to do the double stamping, which for a silhouette, it's very nice to have nice and crisp and dark. Okay, so there is the main one. Now I wasn't positive I got this lined up perfectly, but actually it looks pretty good. So I just wanted to double check that. I could shift it very easily if I wanted to. So these little things, this looks like kind of like a century plant, I think. And then this one here is that real prickly type one. And I'm not sure what the little twiggy one is supposed to be, but it is definitely a nice little addition. This stamp set has a lot of possibilities. You can build with these, I don't know what you would call these, this particular cacti, but there are a bunch that are like that, and you can build different stamps. You can build on top of each other and then add flowers as well, which the stamp set includes. So if I do another tutorial on this flowering desert, maybe I'll show some of that. All right, so that is the Stamparatus work. And I will now just move this aside. Just remember never to close both doors at the same time. I will clean this up later, but I'm not going to take the time right now. Just going to set it aside, and we will start assembling the card. Okay, so this is the Grapefruit Grove, it's Grapefruit Grove. And I have some black cardstock here, and I will just start assembling. This is a very simple card, And it might look a little complicated with the sponging, but it's really quite simple and easy. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect to turn out really quite well. And if you do not have like a die that cuts a bank, it's really not that hard to kind of freestyle cut a bank out of some paper and just make one for yourself. So there we have that part. And I guess I'll go ahead and adhere to the card base. I didn't use any ribbon or any extra embellishments. This is a really simple card, but I showed it to my daughter, and she is so funny. She often misreads things. I don't know why, but she looked at it and she said, "You've been on my land?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, that would be a terrible card to send. You've been on my land. It sounds like someone's been trespassing or whatnot." I just thought, oh, that is so funny. I said, "What are you going to say in the inside? And I'm going to get you or what?" So anyhow, I just thought that was cute. I wanted to also encourage you to please subscribe if you enjoyed this tutorial, and give me a thumbs up. I am new at making tutorials, so the more subscribers I have, obviously eventually I could get paid by YouTube for making these tutorials. So I'm hoping maybe that will eventually happen. Anyhow, and if there are any products you would like to order from Stampin' Up, I can give you a hostess code and you can place an order. I'm just trying to get this straight here. And so just email me at mewants3@gmail.com if you need any more information. So here are the two cards, the one we just made and the one we did previously. Obviously, every time it'll come out slightly different, except for where you did the Stamparatus. If you line that up, every time it should come out the same. But, you know, like I had to guesstimate where the sun would go, etc. And of course, sponging in the background. So anyway, thanks so much for taking a little time to watch this tutorial. And until next time, happy stamping.